And so your question again was, if I understand it correctly, which was how did you make the variables exposed so that a designer could access those variables for each instance of the door in the world? And the way you do that is by clicking on the little eyeball right here in My Blueprints panel, the eyeballs, and that will expose those variables for a designer to use. Or if the eyeball is closed, then it's a private variable. It can only be used in the blueprint editor.
But if you make a public variable like this, you can call it in the other parts of the graph, right?
Yes, I can call it in the functions too, right? So I can anything inside this particular blueprint, I can call these variables, whether they're private or public. There is also a thing called local variables, which we set up right here. And in a local variable, it can only be accessed inside that particular function. So in this case, these local variables are tied to this particular function, and they cannot be accessed in the event graph or any other function because they're only local to this set helper text value function.
So it almost doesn't matter what you name them, even if you name them the same as another public variable, because they're only used in this set.
Correct. Typically, though, I name local variables local, or sometimes you'll see they'll do this sort of thing where it has like an underscore to signify that it's a local variable, stuff like that. It's just it's good to have a certain naming convention for sure for all your variables, not just the local ones, but all of them, and they should mean something, right? Because typically you don't work on a whole project by yourself. You work with a whole team, right? And your team members need to know what the heck and you've done and how to do it, if that makes sense. Okay, any other questions? Those were good questions, by the way. Any other questions, guys? It doesn't have to be about the door. It could be anything blueprint related or anything Unreal related.
Do we have a date yet for the midterm, or?
I don't know the answer to that because I really haven't looked to see when the supposed midterm is supposed to happen. I'm not too worried about it.
It's technically supposed to be this week or next week for normal midterms.
Oh, well, that's not good. So what we'll do is we'll try our best to finish this week, and if we don't, we'll talk about that offline out of the thing. I'm not too worried about it though, and y'all guys shouldn't be too worried about it either. I know that you're like, well, but what about my grade? Every one of y'all are passing right now, I think. I don't think I have anyone. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have anyone who has. Yeah, everyone is passing, so y'all are all good. I wouldn't worry about it. It feels like there's still so much to do, right? It will feel like that for everything you do, right? And while you're building things, you're gonna have, the suits and game designers and and everybody who has ideas, because ideas are free and cheap, and they're gonna be like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you also added this? And as you see, as we've been building stuff, we've been talking about, oh man, it'd be cool to add this thing, and how about to do this or that or whatever. And we've done it, right? I've only had one company do that sort of ideas and like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this feature set really well into their pipeline of making games or making simulations or whatever. And that's they had what's called an innovation week. So like as they're making it, they do only what the ticket says or only what they're supposed to do, if you know what I mean. And then, but of course, as we've been building this door, we've been talking about like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had this and the musical this and whatever, and we've done it. But in their case, like, no, the door only locks or unlocks, it only opens and closes this way, whatever. That's all it's supposed to do. But they have innovation week, so they have these milestones, and when you make a game, everybody has milestones. And that's basically where you go, hey, we have like this pre-alpha, we have this alpha, and then, you know, probably a pre-beta or maybe a beta, internal beta, and then like a family beta, family and friends, and then like open beta, and then the release, right? Those are your milestones typically. But when you have a milestone, or when you've released a milestone, you show it off to the stakeholders. Those are the people who spent the money to make the game, and you know they want a return on their investment. So you show off their investment basically. And then after they say, yeah, it looks good, or maybe they don't, but it's always been, yeah, that looks good. Then that studio I worked for had what's called Innovation Week, and that's where like you have a whole week to do all the cool, like all the time for the whole week to do all the cool ideas you want to do and to add them to the game. And no extra work, no extra craziness, just make these cool things that you said you wanted to make the game cooler. And so it works out really great because the whole time you're making the stuff that you're supposed to be making, you're like, oh man, it'd be cool to make this cool stuff. You have a whole week where you know, like, oh, I can't wait for Innovation Week because I want to add. I want the door to be able to change colors when they press the button. I want the door to glow. I want the door to I want the doorknob to rotate. We don't even have the doorknob rotating. Come on, we got to do that, right? The doorknob, it needs to rotate, right? Well, I think we could do that. Like, does this needs to do that? Why doesn't it do that? Right? We could do that in Innovation Week for this one studio that we're for.
So
All
you
the
just
other
break.
studios, go ahead.
So you're saying you basically just break down the basic animations, get the stuff to work, and then any bells and whistles you add during Innovation Week.
Yeah, so typically when you work on stuff, right, when it's a big team, 100 people or whatever, you have a producer. That's what some of you are in that track. That producer task out certain, you know, like gets all the tasks that, you know, they want in the game, and then task them out to certain people. Like, you're an engineer, you're going to do some engineering stuff. You're an artist, you're going to do some artist stuff. You're a sound guy, you're going to do sound guy, and so on and so forth, right? And then while you're making the stuff, everybody on the whole team wants to make it cool. I've never experienced any group that doesn't want to make cool stuff, right? And you know, you don't have time to make the cool stuff most of the time, right? It just ends up, the game gets released, you're like, oh man, it would have been cool if we had this thing, but we just didn't have the time to do it. Da, 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 da. So
What was the coolest thing you made that was just like a last minute? I don't know. This would be neat.
I don't know. I think the coolest thing I've ever made was definitely Bruce Wayne's office, right? Like, I'm a big Batman fan, and being able to say I made Bruce Wayne's office in DC Universe Online, that's legit. But I don't know. Hello Kitty Cruisers, there were so many times when Hello Kitty Cruisers where they just gave us like a basic layout. They didn't give us anything but like this paper drawing, and they were like, hey, we want it to look like, you know, what is it, the ghost level in Mario Kart, or we want it to look like Rainbow Road in Mario Kart. And like, what does that look like? I don't know, you're the artist, make it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then we make it, they're like, yes, that's exact Rainbow Road, but with Hello Kitty planets. It's great. We love seeing Hello Kitty flying around, a Hello Kitty planet flying around in outer space or whatever. It's great. I love it. I don't know if I had any cool, like, man, I was able to get this thing in, and it's cool kind of thing. Yeah, cool stuff is for the DLCs. James is right. Sounds like a lot of process just for doing the logic of a door and a locked door. Yes, it could be. You know, I'm going slow, number one, but number two, I'm also going through, hopefully I've been going through repeating sort of logic that we've been doing, like Booleans and stuff. And there are some new things like this timeline that we've created. But the idea is to repeat a lot of the things that we're doing so that it becomes muscle memory for you guys. It's a good question. Anything else? Last chance. All right. I guess no more. Your silence is compelling.
Actually, no, I do have one thing.
It's too late, Alex. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, I'll stop.
Yeah, no, go ahead. What's
So with this door, specifically the door, we can't start from the back, right? Because Like right now, if I go to the back of the door first, I can't open it unless I open the front of the door first, and then I can open like alternating,
What,
but I can't do like both sides at once.
for
Didn't we make
alternating,
it so we could toggle a setting that would change which side it would start with?
for alternating, we only have it set for starting at the front of the door. Uh, but if we want to open it only from the back door, but not alternate, we could totally, we could say only enable the back door. And then that should work. So like I can't do anything
Is
in the front
if-
door, but if I go to the back side, then it'll work. But I don't think we have the ability to alternate. I don't remember, but yeah, I don't think we have the ability to alternate.
Does this become a problem when you're running through a maze and there's multiple doors leading into somewhere? Because you're like, this is all the fronts of the doors in the hallway are always facing inward. But what happens if you circle back around and come out the back end of one eventually? That would probably be a problem. It's good if you're only in a hallway, right?
Well, we're assuming that the designer, right? Right now we're all the things, but the programmer is the one doing this coding stuff right here, right? And the designer is the one who places in the world builder, right? We're making an assumption the designer knows kind of what they're doing, and that they would always place the front of the door in the path that like if we're playing a single player game, like in the path that the player would go through, if that makes sense. And of course we have all of them enabled, then the door works on both sides. So this is the
But
front of
then
the
how
door.
come when you have them all enabled, how come the back door doesn't work from the get-go? It's only the front that works.
I don't know. Right now I broke it for some reason, so maybe it doesn't
Mine
work.
was doing
No,
that too.
it's 'cause
You just gotta re-go through it.
Yeah, go back. Now it'll split shut. You have to be out of it for so many seconds and then it shuts.
Oh, that's right.
It was a trigger when you walked through, and now the front it still works.
Yeah.
Huh.
So there's definitely a lot of bugs with our door. There's no doubt about it, right? And we would need to definitely think about, oh my gosh, you know, all the logic behind all that. Does it close automatically? Oh, it does close automatically. I got you. Yep, I remember now. Because what happens if I like go this way? Does it close? See, so there's a problem there too, right? Now,
I was
now
thinking
can't
about this.
open the door at all. It's screwed.
I was thinking about this though. What if, and this is kind of weird, what if the handle was the same for the front and back for collision, and the only thing that changed about the door was the angle that it rotated based on which one you're standing in?
I mean, it's definitely another way to build the door for sure, right? I think that was originally what I was wanting to do or intending to do, was have two different collision volumes and then like one. So it's a different way to tackle the problem. It's not, again, this is not, I won't say it's the right way, right? It's not like math where you always, you know, like 2 + 2 always equals 4, you know, and you can't argue with the instructor about that. It's always going to be 4. This is more like English, right? Where you write a paper, Alex writes a paper, I write a paper, and it's all about, you know, musical doors or whatever, but our papers are going to be completely different. You know, they're going to have our style in it. They're going to have, you know, maybe different points or whatever, talking about why musical doors are important or whatever it is about musical doors. Maybe Alex is like, I hate musical doors, and his whole paper's about hating it. That's kind of what programming is, right? It's just different ways to
So-
solve a problem.
So in the style that you like, you're most comfortable in designing the asset, it kind of becomes like your signature, I guess.
I mean, I guess, yes, a little bit. I guess that's where I was going with that. Yes. There's also what's called style guides and stuff like that, and programming guides, and wherever you go, they'll have one, and it's normally written by the senior guys on the team, and they're basically like saying, hey, you're gonna write the code similar to how I'm writing it, and that way we're all in alignment. It's the same thing for artists, right? Like, think about like Blizzard stuff, right? Blizzard stuff's all hand painted, it's very beautiful, And then suddenly you come in there and you like want to do, you know, with what is it? Not InDesigner, what is it called? The texturing
Sub-
program,
Substance.
Substance. Yeah, like right, you make everything super realistic and Substance, and they're like, get out of here, dude. You can't do that. You need to match our style. Same thing with coding and writing blueprints and stuff like that. Cool. All right. Anything else? All right. So let's go over the door one more time. This is mostly for me too. So what we did is, of course, we created our door frame and all that in the doorknob. And then we have two collisions, one on this side and one on this side. These are like our front door and back door collisions, right? Yeah, or the text helper collisions, front door and back door. Got it. And then we also have front door knob and back door knob collisions. And then these are specifically being used to sort of open and close the door, and these are being used to set off our helper text. So if we go to, what is this? What we're using? Oh, that was our old code challenge. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of this. We can get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. If we go to our event begin play, the first thing we're do is we're getting our, let's see, we're getting our first person character. We're saving that as a reference, right? So we can just say get references. And all this is doing is just getting references for us to later be able to use, right? So somewhere else there's a first person blueprint, first person character blueprint, and we're just calling that to use later. Let's see, so then what? Then we're saying if both the front door knob and back door knob, that's our that's these guys right here, this is set by the designer, are both enabled. And if they are, then we are setting the front door text. This is on game begin, right? So this is begin play. And we also disable the back door. So like you were saying earlier, Alex, like, man, isn't there a way we could like flip flop this? Yeah, we probably could. We probably could have maybe another Boolean that says, you know, I want the front door to be enabled, or I want the front door to be the sort of the way like which one do you want to be first? Maybe we could do that, you know, like have another Boolean, like which, we could even do a numerator, actually would probably be better, which door to open first, right? And if we did it would actually be an enumerator. So this is a Boolean, but an enumerator's a list of items, right? So front door, back door, and then it would just go like, which one, right? If you want it to be the front door, then it's the front door. If you want it to be the back door, it's the back door. So that would kind of solve that problem. But see, that's a feature that you know we just talked about earlier, where it's like, oh man, it'd be cool to add this thing. Well, that's a perfect example of that. So in our case, it's like if they're both enabled, then we're saying the designer has to set it to the front door, and we disable the back door. And then what happens if it's not the front door and back door knobs enabled? Then we check to see which one of those is enabled. If it's if the front door is enabled, then we set the front door up. If it's the back door enabled, then we set the back door up, right? And as a matter of fact, we probably could even do the logic this way and like that. That actually makes more sense, because what we'll do is we'll check to see, is it just the front door is enabled? And if it's not, then it must be the back door. And
you did
this
tell
is-
us to delete the old challenge code, correct?
yeah, you can delete it. And then this could be an enumerator too. This could be an enum as well. And maybe it's a good idea to show you guys enums, but I think it's more of an advanced topic. So yeah, so then we like set those up, right? So it's just switching between the front door and back door, and disable the front door and what, so on, right? Okay, so that's good. Let's make this look better, cleaner. Okay. Okay, so then we have this huge front door block right here. And we also have this huge back door block, which is, they're the same pretty much, right? Except one just says front door and one says back door on it. I cannot, for whatever reason, grab that edge. There we go. So let's look at the back, let's look at the front door first. And so the first thing that happens is, you know, we're waiting for the player to collide with that front door collision. And when they do, then we immediately say that they have collided with it, right? And if you remember when we built the light, we did this whole like check to see if it's a pawn, right? We did this thing, right? Get player pawn. And then we were doing the branching and all this stuff, right? But we're not doing it here. And the reason we're not doing it here is because if we look at the specific collision and we go to the details panel and we go to the collisions category, we can see that we've set it up to be custom and only look for the pawn. See, it's only going to overlap the pawn. So we don't need a check to see if it's anything else. Anyway, players entered that collision. Then we check again to see if both the front and back doorknobs enabled. And if it's true, then we immediately go to the front doorknob for both of them, right? Because again, we don't have logic to say choose which door, choose which side of the door do you want to be open or closed. We only have logic to say if it's both, then we have to assume it's the front door. So, but if this is not true, then we check to see is it the front door knob enabled? Because maybe the door needs to be locked, or maybe the door is disabled, or whatever the case may be. We could also set up events for other things like platforms and stuff like that, and of course our musical note stuff to say, hey, now enable the front doorknob kind of thing. Anyway, if the doorknob is enabled, then we set up some text. We set up a timer to see if the user presses the use key. And I think this is just what's called CYA, which stands for cover your, your bacon. And we're just making sure that the other doorknob is disabled. Or sorry, not disabled, but there's no collision enabled on it, so the user can't use it. So this right here, the pressing the use key, that's this guy right here. Which we haven't finished yet because we need to add in this, is the door unlocked or not? But basically we're checking to see is the door open, and if it like has the door already swung open. And then after that we say, if it's false, then what are we doing here? Let's see, first person character, doorknob collision. Is a player looking at the door? Oh, right. So now we are in our first person character blueprint, and we've done a line trace. So let's go to that first person character blueprints. This one right here. That's spawn projectiles. We don't care about that. Where is our, oops, this is the wrong one. Wrong first person character blueprint. Needs to be blueprints. There it is, first person character. There we are. So it's event tick, first person camera. Here we're looking for doorknobs. This is our line trace. So it's like that laser beam from the camera, right? The camera to 500 centimeters out in world space. And if that is the doorknob, then we say, yes, you've hit the doorknob. So then we're just checking to see, is it the doorknob that it's supposed to be? Meaning, is it the front doorknob? And if it is, great. Then we check to see, did the user press the use key? And if they did, then we stop the timer. We stop checking to see because they've already pressed the use key. And we set text, helper text. And then what is this? Oh, then we open the door, duh. And then 2 seconds later, we say that the door is open and we set some more text. Okay, that's cool. And then what happens? What is this? On end overlap. So they leave the helper text collision. We stop the timer. We say they've left the collision. enable front door knob. We check to see if the doorknob is enabled. And we check to see if the door is open. If the door is not open, then we say, hey, you get closer so you can open the door. If the door is already open though, then we check to see player entered backdoor collision. So we check to see, did they enter this backdoor collision? And if they did, then what? Then we're doing another timer to see if they what? If they left the collision? Oh, yes, I see. We're just checking to see, did they leave? And if they did leave, then we turn it off. We wait 2 seconds. And yeah, wait 2 seconds and then we shut the door right here, set some helper text, set the front door knob to not have any collision. And what is this? And then this is the logic to say, hey, allow us to re-enter. Allow user to re-enter. Enter the door. And this enable backdoor in real time can only be set by the designer. And what does this do? It just enables the different collisions and sets the different text up and so on and so forth. And then we have basically the same thing for our backdoor, right? It does the exact same thing. Or check to see if they have 2, is it disabled? Oh, actually, if it's oh no. See, if they're both enabled, we can't go this way, right? Because then it would be both backdoor and front door. So that's correct. Backdoor is enabled, then we did backdoor, da 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 da. We set the front door's collision to disabled. We don't have this door lock. Door must be open. Check to see if the line traces the back door knob. Did they press the key? If so, then we open the door and so on and so forth. Cool. So there are bugs with our door, but for now we're just going to pretend like everything is kosher. There's no bugs. I don't know what you're talking about. Everything works perfectly fine. Compile and save, and I save my first person character here. And then we'll just check this door one time. So get closer, I press the key, door is open, walk away, and then everything's great. Of course, like I said, if I walk away like this, let's see, step into it, then walk away. Oh, come on. Oh, it's already, the door's already broken. Oh no. There we go. Yeah, now I'm screwed, right? There's no bugs. No bugs in our game. Perfectly fine. Right? The user can't get to the door now. And maybe on this side. So there are problems with our code. There is. But we're just going to assume that everything's great. So what questions do you have with what we talked about so far?
Just because I don't know if anybody else had it, but when I fell behind last class, I got your thing, went through my code and started following everything. But until the start of the class just now, I couldn't even get the text to activate nor the door to respond until you had showed that you enabled on the door in the game, the front door and the real time.
Oh, you mean once you drop it into the level, the spark?
Yeah, I didn't have any of those enabled, so the text didn't even work, and it was killing me for like 30 minutes. I sat there because my text wasn't even changing from front door text.
Yeah, that's correct. So like this door right here, nothing's going to happen because we don't have anything enabled.
Wait, how did you toggle it on and off just so I can see if like, was it off already before we got it or no?
Yeah, they're set to false by default. But we can toggle them once you drop it into the world, or if we want, we can go into the blueprint and we can say by default, front door enabled knob is always true. of course, the designer can go in into the world and when they drop one into the world, right, they can change it. But you can see now that one is always true. So that means that it'll always work. You know what I mean? At least the front door will always work. Oh my gosh, why isn't it opening?
But it's just it's the red one, not the blue one, because the blue one's the check. Okay.
What do you mean by the red one and the blue one?
Oh, for the value. Yeah, it's for the enable front door only. Because you have the check the existing ones. I guess we don't. Those are just the other.
They're timer events. This is a
Okay, okay.
Boolean. The red ones are Booleans.
Okay.
Oops. Actually, I'm not sure why this door wasn't opening. I think maybe because it was colliding with the ground. It's a possibility. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, there we go. All right. So, any other questions? By the way, we're right here. I like how you use bacon as a reference. I like bacon. As a matter of fact, I had bacon burgers for dinner tonight. It's great.
With cheese?
With cheese, absolutely.
Nice.
Okay, if there's no more questions, then let's talk about locking the door and unlocking the door. So what we need to do is we need to go to our musical sheet platform center. I think it's this one. Wait, why do I have two of these? Not sure why I have two. Did I build two? I guess I built two. Let's see. Suppose blah 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 blah. Oh yes. So what do we have? Incoming actor. What is this? Let's see. Oh, gotcha. The line spear point. So there's stops for that. Oh, okay. Cool. And then if we drop this into the world, let's see. I gotta remember what we did. Get an actor. Oh, okay. Actually, I remember why I did it this way. And then this one is, oops, wrong button. This one we drop in the world and it already has the ball tied to it. So then I can go and mess with just the ball, right? Or is it to grab the ball? Right mouse is right. Okay. Okay, so let's work with this one. And let's go to the event graph. And now what we want to do is let's see. Probably what we want to do is do an event dispatcher. And we're going to say, we'll call this event dispatcher correct note. And so what this event dispatcher does is it allows us to bind an event in this blueprint that we're in right now. So we're binding an event to it. And then we'll go to our door. And when we do this is the door locked, we're going to call those bindings, right? We're going to call them up. Hey, how's it going? Is it on the right note? And this event dispatcher will say, no, you're not on the right note right now. Actually, I don't know why it's this one. It should be this one, sorry. This event dispatcher will be like, no, you're not on the right note. Or it'll say, yeah, you are. And then when we have, let's say we have 5 of these guys in line like this, right? Do one of these, one of those, right? 4 of them, it doesn't matter, right? So we check, we call all 4 of them. When the player gets close to the door, we call all 4. Hello, is this one in the right place? Yes. Is this one in the right place? Yes. This one in the right place? Yes. This one in the right place? Yes. Okay, door's unlocked. That's what that event dispatcher is, right? So, so we'll do that. We're gonna have an event dispatcher. We're gonna say that event dispatcher will be a, is it the correct note kind of thing. So right now it just has this sort of thing. We'll compile that. Let's go to, and you notice I can't do anything with this, right? I can't. I mean, of course, I can add an input and stuff like that. But, and I think I can also add an output. Yes, I can do that too. But for now, there's nothing really I want to do with that just yet. What I do want to do is we want to, let's see. Well, I think what we want to do is we want to say, is the ball in that particular note? And if it is, so let's see, stop time, set musical note, center point, stop timer. All right, so let's do this. We'll do a variable, and we're going to call this correct position maybe. And this one is going to be, actually, you know what we're going to do? We'll do it this way. Do it this way. We're going to do all of the different collisions. We have E position. I'm going to duplicate this. It's going to be D position, duplicate it again. This be F position. Oh my God, I can't spell. Position, duplicate that again. B position. And there's different ways to handle this. So this may not be the best way, but that's okay. G position. And then we're going to actually expose all of these. And this is what the designer would be. All the event graphs for the push pull is gone, rip. For the musical sheet thing. Oh, for the push pull one, that's fine. We'll come back to that another day. We might not even get to that one. So anyway, the designer will have these values exposed, right? So you can see, and then they'll click on the one that they want to be true. So that one will be F. Maybe this one will be the B position. Maybe this one will be echo, and then this one can be golf, right? So they click on the ones that they want to be true, and that's where the player has to move it, right? So where is that ball set? So then they'll grab this one, and they got to move it to the right spot. This one to the right spot. Oh man, we got problems with this guy too. We don't want to talk about those problems though. Let's say that one needs to be there, and so on, right? So they move them all to the right spot, and then we get to the door, and then the door works. So let's go back to this guy. We have our exposed variables, and now what do we need? We need to, let's see, other actors, set musical note, center point. Let me see what this is. So is it the musical note? And we set it as current musical note, release, and set the position. Okay, I got you. So let's go to, what is correct note? Correct note is just the event dispatcher. All right, so what we're going to do here is we'll start with E. Where is E in our list of, here it is, here's E right here. So we'll grab E, and I'm doing this grabber, or the getter, sorry. And we're going to say, is E the correct position? And if it is, then call correct note. So all I did was drag out this event dispatcher and do a call. And so now what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna copy this for each one. So we have G there. This is gonna be F, and so on, right? For all the different. So here, here's F. Sorry. So oops, not that one. F. So there's F connection, and then delta. So where's delta? Got that guy. And it goes like that. And then B, and actually I might have this wrong, but it's okay. And then what is the last one here? G, goes like that. Cool. All right, file and save. Does the Unreal have a sound button? That's a good question. Unreal does have a sound button. So what we'll do here is we'll clean this up just a little bit. All right, so if we come out here, we can do, if we type in sound, we could do this play 2D sound. which is, you know, we can read the thing, right? It says perfect for UI sounds, which could be fine for what we want. We can also do sound at location. So this plays the sound at the given location. So we would have to say where exactly do we want that to be? And of course we could do like get world location. So this is the center of the F box collision. And then what sound do we want to play? Maybe click sound, whatever. And I'm not sure if you guys will be able to hear that, but where is F? I don't even know. But if we go to this guy, we'll probably hear it. No. Oh, maybe not, because I don't hear nothing. So, oh, because I didn't say F is the right one. Oops. Let's go to this guy. We'll change it to F being the correct one, and now hit play, and now it should work. There it is. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not.
Yeah, we can hear it.
So yes, Unreal does have
What was
sound.
the you say play sound at location is what you dropped?
Or you can do just play 2D sound or play sound 2D. Sorry, this one. This is good for UI because it just goes through both headsets and it doesn't have like a location. So, you know, so that might be just easier for what we're trying to do, you know, because we're just messing around with the editor and stuff like that. But in reality, you would actually have these sound actors. Let's see if I can do sound. Yeah, you would have like these. It's not this one. It's not this exact one, but the idea is similar.
How
We'd
did you
have-
tie it? How did you turn the return value to the sound though? Because I'm looking at from get location and it doesn't show like a way to tie it in. Or am I looking at it wrong?
Sound.
Oh, you're
Play
doing it
sound. Play sound at location.
at location. What was the hold on.
How did I
you
get this location block?
Yeah, the get location. I guess I'm putting the get location at the wrong location.
So right here you see I pulled the F box collision
Mm-hmm.
for the, and then I did get world location,
Right.
which we've done a lot. And then here it is. I have a vector and I can connect it to that vector.
Play at, oh, for just the play at sound. Okay, the play 2D doesn't have it. Okay. But it's only
Yeah,
at,
the play 2D doesn't have it because it just plays in your headset or your speakers or whatever, right? It just plays like it's a UI element, not like it's in a specific spot in the world. This
I
is going to play in a
wouldn't-
specific spot in the world. So if you're
Okay.
far away from it, you're not going to hear it as loudly as if you're right next to it.
If I was going to be like play 2D, it would be something like that would go on no matter where I was in the world.
Exactly. It would be the same volume level, pitch, whatever, right? Like these sort of things you can actually manipulate the pitch. So like if you're in a tunnel or something like that. I
Okay.
mean, I'm not a big sound guy, to be honest, but you get the idea, right? A tunnel is going to have like a reverb and an echo and all that sort of stuff versus like if you're in water, it's going to have, you know, more pronounced pitch, higher pitch, and you'll be able to hear further and stuff like that. Okay, so call note. So that's our event dispatcher. So we're going to be calling that. So then we need to go into our musical door, and we need to go to our begin play. So here we're getting those references where we have our get actor of class. It's going to be, that's just the first person character, but now we need to come out of this guy. And again, I'm in the musical door now, I'm back of the door. And we're going to do get all actors of class. And notice that our return all out actors has like this little Rubik's Cube looking thing. That's because it's an array. And an array is a list of elements. So this is one element. This is a list of a bunch of elements. And in our case, it's going to be a list of actors. And that actor is going to be our musical sheet platform sensor. And before, because I have two of them, before it becomes crazy, I'm just gonna delete this one. Let's see, hold on. We will delete all these because one of them is complaining. Oh, I think it's that one. Nope, nope. Delete. I don't know where it is, but whatever. Okay. Save all. All right, let's go back to our musical door. Okay. Actors of class. BP musical sheet platform. Yay, now I only have one. Musical sheet platform sensor. Cool. So this out actors, you have to set the actor first before you can do the out actors. The out actors, we can promote to variable like we've done before. And we'll call this BP musical sheet platforms. Because it's more than one, right? It's all of them. And then we'll connect this guy and that guy. And actually, I'm going to give myself even more room because we need to do more stuff here. So now what do we need to do? So what we need to do now is we need to go through each one of the items in the array, go through each one of these actors in the array, and we need to bind a function or a custom event. Sort of how we did this, right? See how we have this create event coming out? We're going to do the exact same thing for all these guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out of this array and we're going to type in for each loop. This guy right here, for each loop. And then we're going to connect our execution pin to the execution pin, just like that. And then we're going to come out, you see it has this array element. We're going to come out of that array element and we're going to type in bind. And when we type in bind, you'll notice there's a lot of different bindings here. We have begin overlap, end overlap, hits, all this stuff. But the one we want is the one we created for that event delegate, which is bind event to the correct note. That one. And now you can see that it looks very similar to our timer by event handler, right? Timer event, set timer by event. See, they look similar, right? The event for now, we're just going to do create event. So we'll come out of that guy and just do create event, and we'll deal with that in a second. Once all these events have been bound, then we can just go and say, okay, it's done. We've completely went through the entire loop. Now we can continue through our execution, which is this guy. So we'll go to that.
Hang on, so I'm a little behind on the bind event
Sure.
bit. So
Go ahead.
yeah, I'm not sure how to get bind event to correct note. I assume it's
So you have to
correct
have,
note. Yeah,
you have to have this event dispatcher. And
do.
I've named it correct note. You can name it whatever you want. As
Yeah,
long
I
as you
have the
have,
same name.
make sure you compiled.
Yep.
And then you go to here and you need to make sure that you're getting that platform blueprint.
Yep, that's it.
And you have to do the actor first before you can do the setter. Otherwise your variable type will be wrong.
So are you doing the for each loop because it doesn't have its own looping box to tick off like the other one does?
Which other one are you talking about? Oh no,
when you were saying by event.
No, so that's a good question. And maybe it is a little bit confusing. Let me this timer thing. So this looping means that it's looping this event. It's looping this event. In this case, we'll say every 0.1 of a second, right? It's looping this every single time. This bind event to correct note, it's only fires one time. It's not looping. What this looping is doing is it's looping through the array in this Rubik's Cube. So think of this as like, this is one little bread slice, right? And you reached into your bread loaf or bread bag or whatever, and you grabbed one bread slice. And in this case, I'm going through every single bread slice in that bread loaf, and then I'm saying, do this event, bind event to it. Like every single bread slice will always get some Miracle Whip on it and a slice of bacon. That's what this is. That's what this is looping through. Make sense?
Yeah. So instead of a time-based loop, it's just out of everything, this is the correct one.
Yes,
Out of-
exactly.
And
this
then
is
and then go back around.
Yes, exactly. And then this is more like, this would be more like open and close your mouth to chew the bread. Like, you're going to chew the bread every 0.1 second or whatever until the bread has been completely eaten. And then you stop this timer. That's what that is. Versus this is saying for every single bread slice, add Miracle Whip or mayo or whatever. Man, you can tell I'm from the South, Miracle Whip. Come on. Okay, so mine doesn't work because I don't have event yet, and so that's what it's complaining about. But once you've done all the bindings, then you're going to do that complete, and that complete is going to reconnect all your other logic you have past that for loop. Okay, so let's create an event. We'll go down here to the bottom. We'll do custom event. And right here where it says add custom event, that's where we're going to click on. And this custom will be, we'll say, is note in correct position. Actually, we'll also add custom event like that. And then we can go back to our create event up here at the top, and we can say, is note in correct position custom event. Now it compile, it will not complain. So just like the timer event, where we bound a event to the timer event, we're doing the same thing here. So now when we call, so that's these guys, when we make the call, we're actually going to fire this guy. Now what do we need to do? We need to say, somewhere in here we need to say, put that note in the right position or something like that, or we'll say, like, we need to basically do like a Boolean that says that particular sheet is correct. And we need to do it for all the sheets. So that way the designer can have 100 sheets or not. Actually, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that. Think about how I want to do it, because basically we want to have a connection here to say, is the door unlocked? I definitely want to say like, oh, okay, they fired it, they put it in, we said that it's in the right spot, they put it in the right spot. And then for that particular one, let's see, what can we do? Is it in the right spot? Probably need another Boolean. It's just like door unlocked or something like that. Let's see, maybe musical sheet, musical note in correct position. And it's almost like I want to get it's almost like I want to have an array of these. Oops, I know I can do an array. Let's see. It's almost like I want to have an array of these, and I want to go and say, for each element. So I almost want to do like, let's see. Oh no, Unreal, don't mess with me. Clear. So it's empty. And then maybe I want to add another one here, maybe note in correct position. Maybe I'll do it that way. And then we'll come out of here. We'll do an add. And then we'll come out of this guy and we'll do get note in correct position. Nope. Oh man, Unreal crashed on me. Or it didn't crash on me, but it broke on me. So let's save everything and then let me reopen it. Thanks, Unreal. And I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Okay, you can, because my VR just started. Wait, what was the return value for the get active class? That one was hold on, I'll show you. This one right here, the out actors, it should be the musical sheet platform.
And when you're setting up your array, like, do you set the type before you set the array, or because there's like float array, Boolean array?
Yeah, you want to set the type for your variable typically. Okay, so let me see if I can do this right. So this is going to be get correct position. There it is. And then we're going to add that to our list. And then we're going to do a binding. Like that. Okay, so let me show you how I did that. And then the idea is that it's going to be basically when that fires, we need to find the item in the array. This is not going to work. Yeah, see, it's complaining already. We need to find the item in the array, and then once we find that item, then we can set it to true. So then we'll be able to get that item. So we'll do for each loop here. Oh my gosh. For each. Oh, what am I doing? For each loop. No, we already have the item. What do we need to do? Oh, it's in the array. Something like, let's see, array. Yeah, set array element. That's what it is. So then we find it, and then we set the item to true, like that. Okay, so let me show you how I'm doing this. First, let's go back to our musical sheet platform sensor. We're going to say note is in correct position. It's going to be not visible to the designer. And this note in correct position needs to also be set for each one of these. Actually, you know what we could have done is we could have actually connected the called note as well. Now that I'm thinking about it, let's do this. We'll do it this way. That's better.
Sorry.
All right, so if the designer says, oh, it's the G position, and that's true, then we're going to call correct note. Actually, we're going to invert this. It's going to be inverted. I stand corrected. It's going to be like this. We're going to say note is in the correct position is true, and then we're going to say call that called note event dispatcher. Everyone with me? Mostly. Oh, silence is not good.
Can you scroll over to the left a little bit? Did you just get rid of the play sound at location and all that and the notes?
Yeah, I got rid of the sound stuff. I just, yeah, it was just a question, so I got rid of it.
I'm assuming after this, we're gonna be like enable door.
So what'll happen is this will basically, this logic right here will make all of the arrays true, right? Or will make that particular element in the array true. But then we'll go here, and instead of it being, is it just one of those doors is unlocked? Or sorry, one of the musical notes is in the right spot. All of them are in the right spot. And then if all of them are in the right spot, then we unlock the door. So, but first we need this. So hopefully you have this note in correct position and called note. You have the event dispatcher. Now we can go back to the musical door. Now up here, we have our event begin play, our first person character, all those things we've already have built. So let's move that out of the way. That can go over there for now. Then we have this new thing, get all actors a class and out actors musical sheet platform. All right, just set that over here so you have like a little bit of space between the two. Then we have this new Boolean called musical note in correct position. So how I did that guy, I'm going to delete it. It's going to complain. It's fine. I just did a new variable, musical notes in correct position. And then I went to the details panel, variable type category. And right here, I clicked on this guy and it clicked on the Rubik's Cube to make it an array element, or sorry, an array of Booleans. That's fine, Mariana. Okay, that compiled and it's complaining, and that's okay. But you can see now I have this Rubik's Cube of musical notes in correct position. So I'm gonna do a getter. And then out of that getter, I'm gonna do a clear. And all this does is it clears out the array. So when the game begins, it's empty. And then we're just gonna connect our execution pins up like so. All right, then we already talked about the Skittle actor as a class or musical sheet. Then we have this for each loop, right? And oh, another thing we need to do too is we need to add a Boolean value to our bind event to correct note, which I'll show you how to do in a second. That's why this is complaining. All right, so now that I have this note is in correct position inside our musical sheet platform, I can pull it out of our array element. Get musical note. What is it? Get current position, get note. Oh yeah, get note in correct position. There it is right there. And I can add this to our array. So I'm gonna grab our array and I'm gonna say add. And there it is, add. We're just adding that element, get correct note in correct position to our array. And then we have this bind correct note and it says create event and all that. We already did that earlier, but we have an arrow with it saying that, hey, you can't use this create event because right here for me anyway, I have a input here called to find item and it's Boolean and that's what it's complaining about. So we can fix this. In order to fix this, we need to go back to our musical sheet platform. So you can see we're flip-flopping between these two blueprints. We're going to go to our correct note event dispatcher. I'm going to double click that guy. And remember, I was telling you, I can't really do anything in here in the functions except for add inputs or outputs. And so in this case, I am going to add an input and it's just going to be current correct note. We'll compile that. And now what is it complaining about? Let's go to the event graph and see what it's complaining about. Oh, refresh this node, compile, there we go. So now what we want to do is you can see now I have this, this connection. So now I just want to connect it like that. All right. Now I'm going to flip back to our door. I created that custom event, and that custom event should not be complaining anymore. It still is. Let's see. Oh, let's do this. Let's do this. We're going to remove this custom event, go away, and then we'll come over here. We're going to say create matching event. There we go. And now we can name this. What do we want to name this? Correct note or something like that. Correct note custom event. There we go. And you can see that it uses the same input that we created in our event dispatcher. See, current correct note, current correct note. Kind of cool, right? And now it's not complaining anymore. Cool. All right. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Okay, so now we have our current note, custom event. We want to, let's see, we want to grab our array and we want to come out of that array. We're going to type in find. And we're going to do find item. Because remember, we set those items, we set the items in the array right here, right? We added them to the array. So now we're just going to find that particular item. And then we're going to come out of the array again, and we're going to say, forget what it is. Set array element. So we're basically replacing the array element. So in this case, we're going to find that specific item, the the index is like the list of items, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna find that specific one, and then we're gonna set it to its new value, which in this case is going to be true. It's a lot of noodles going on here. Let's see if I can maybe fix this up a little bit. Noodle going there. Maybe these guys need to go this way. There we go, looks better. Cool. So all this does is change the platform to the correct, or to true, right? To true, if the note is in the right spot. We still need to do a checker for this guy up here, right? So like when we get to the front door, we need to do a checker here, right? So what do we want to do there? We need to iterate through all of these guys, and we need to say for each, and we need to check all of them. So are they all true? If actually, you know what we could do is actually we could do it differently. We'll do it slightly differently. We'll do a for each with a break. And then what the break does is it breaks out of it, right? So if it's false, then we break. And let's see. If it's false, we're gonna break out of it and do, what do we want to do? We want, it's going to stop the array and then do nothing. But if it's true, they're all true. No, see, it's kind of almost backwards. I almost want to do like, wait, like if they're all true, then it should go through. But if they're not true, then just break out. But break means it will go to the complete. So it's not exactly how I want to do it. I want to loop through all of them, and if they're true, if they're all true, then you can go through. But if they're not all true, so we can do like, let's see, array. No. If they're all true, how can I check to see they're all true? Oh, identical. Check to arrays are. Oh no, that's not what I want. Let's check this again. For each loop. Oh wait, what are the other ones? For each. That's just reverse. So we're gonna check if all of them are true. Branch. If they're all true. How can we do that? I don't know how we're gonna be able to do it, to be honest. I need to think about this. This may not be the best way to do it, but basically the idea is that we want to go through this. We want to loop through these and see if they're all true. And if they are all true, then we say, yes, the door can be opened. Or yes, the door is unlocked. But if they're not all true, actually, oops. If they're not all true, then obviously the door cannot be unlocked. So I need to think about how that actually would work. And I'm not exactly sure right now off the top of my head how I would do that. It's got to be something like this. And I almost want to do like another Boolean that just breaks out and basically is like, that's probably the best way, is like door locked. And oops, and I want to change this to just a regular bool. And maybe it is a break actually. So break. And we'll do this. And this. And if it's false, then the door stays locked. Something like that. But if it's true, it does nothing. And then we just check to see, is the door locked? Is the door still locked? Oops. I think that might be the best way to handle it. But see, if it's true, it needs to unlock it, right? So we need to go through all of them and say, if all of them are true, then unlock. Or that's Unreal Crush again. Are all true? Then unlock. So I need to think about how that would happen. And I'm not exactly sure how I would do that. So I need to think about that. That is a problem for Thursday. So I'm going to compile it right here. I'm going to save everything, and I will post a video online for you guys, hopefully later tonight. So let me turn off the recording.